The DLSS 5 backlash isn't only about graphics, it's about control. Everyone is talking about Nvidia's DLSS 5. Bigger performance, sharper image, AI doing what your hardware can't. On the surface, it looks like the future. And honestly, on the surface, it looks impressive, ghosting and AI slop aside. But if you've been paying attention, you've probably noticed something else. The backlash. It's everywhere, and definitely well deserved. And no, it's not really just about image quality. It's about something much deeper. Let's get into this. Hey friends, it's the Axeman, and this is Axial Gaming Tech, where we discuss the latest news, reviews, and a PC build thrown in from time to time. So be sure to like if you like, or dislike if you don't. So with that out of the way, let's get into today's topic. So DLSS isn't just about upscaling anymore. DLSS used to be simple. Render less, upscale more, gain performance. That is what it was supposed to be. But no, it doesn't give you a 5070 with 4090 performance.
Blackwell family, RTX 5070, 4090 performance.
But it was still a simple concept. But with DLSS 5, it changes that equation. Now you're not just rendering a game, you're letting AI decide what the game should look like. Not enhance, not assist, but actually interpret. And that's where things start to break down, because when AI fills in the gaps, it's not showing you what's there, it's showing you what it predicts should be there. Textures shift, some details disappear, some are imagined. The atmosphere changes subtly, but noticeably. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. AI slopification of video games. Makeup added, 15-year-old player characters turned into 30-year-olds, and grandma characters turned into Tales from the Crypt. That's rich. And sadly foreseen. We all knew this was coming. The real problem? You're not in control. Here's what no one is really saying. DLSS 5 isn't just a feature, it's a dependency. Developers now have two choices. Optimize their game traditionally, or rely on Nvidia's AI pipeline to make it run well and look decent. And guess which one's easier? We've already seen developers choose the easy road and force DLSS instead of optimization. And now this will add proprietary software to boot. The gaming industry really has been grand this last decade, hasn't it? But we also need to remember DLSS 5 is not open source. So good luck AMD and Intel graphics owners. Competition goes out the window with lockdown software. But back to my main point. Where was I? Oh, backlash. This is where the backlash really comes from, because the more games that rely on DLSS 5, the less control developers have over their own visuals and artistic intent. Even some developers were blindsided by the announcement. They lost their control of what they intended also. Those decisions were made by higher-ups. You know, the management jerk-offs that know nothing about gaming and only know spreadsheets. But that's another can of worms that I don't have time to get into today. But it also means less control you have over what you're seeing. There is already a problem with lazy developers using and requiring the end user to use some sort of upscaling technology to make their games run decently instead of optimization of their game code. I've said it time and time again. Upscaling should have only been used to possibly give life to older cards. Native is still king in my book. For example, now this is my opinion, if you're running a 5070 and have to use an upscaler to run at 1440p on high or ultra high settings in a modern title, something is fucked up. I don't subscribe to the notion that Nvidia pushes. Jensen has said it himself in earnings calls to investors. They are upselling their cards. To me, this will always be the case. 60 class cards are low-end 1080p high settings cards. 70 class is middle of the road, 1440p on high settings. 80 class is the upper, with 4K high settings, or medium depending on the game. Your 80 Ti and 90 cards are, well, the ultimate bragging rights tier. Not really needed, but they exist for the financially fortunate. We financially challenged will stick to the former cards. But I'll repeat, that is native, no upscaler needed. Sadly, the gaming community, developers and gamers alike, have bought into DLSS and FSR because Nvidia pushing it so hard, and AMD playing follow the leader like usual. Technologies that should have only been used to give older cards more life is now being used by developers to make modern titles run a little bit above dogshit levels. It's aggravating, really. Now let's get to the part that raised eyebrows in the hardware world, at least mine, the 5090 demo. So here comes this demo of DLSS 5, running on not one, but two 5090 GPUs, one for the game and the other for AI slopification. Let that sink in. The future of performance optimization was showcased on hardware almost no one owns or can afford, because one 5090, when you look at the cheapest one you can buy on Newegg, is $38.99, so more or less $4,000. So that's $8,000 for two RTX 5090s. That's not optimization, that's dependency disguised as innovation. It sends a message. You don't optimize your way forward anymore, you buy your way into it. Supposedly, DLSS 5 is coming later this year, and again, supposedly, they will get it running on a single card. And I'm sure some form will be on a single card iteration. Okay, great, super duper. But here is the caveat. Is this another 60 class card RTX problem? In most games, 60 class cards can't run ray tracing, and if they can, only at a minimum. So are we right back to this? I know ray tracing and DLSS are two different technologies, but imagine a 5060 running a game and also running an AI slopifier in tandem on one card. I see an issue just like when the RTX 2060 launched. Ray tracing was the next big thing, only it wasn't because low-end cards couldn't do it and keep a playable frame rate. But Nvidia pushed it anyway, charging for a technology that people couldn't use. Now, I prefer pure raster performance, but I know a lot of people love ray tracing, and that's cool. More power to them. But it still doesn't change the fact that lower-end cards had a hard time running games with the technology they were sold. But again, I'm ranting. Back on point. I see the lower class cards possibly having an issue all over again, and Nvidia charging for it with the absolutely absurd high prices of GPUs. If you look back since the inception of the RTX, uplift each generation has been minimal in rasterization, especially when you look at the uplift in price to go along with it. The main focus each generation is the RT or tensor cores. This is DLSS 5 Phase 2 in my You Will Own Nothing video, a link that I'll put in the description. It's pretty important, not for this video, but it's good information to have twirling in the back of your mind. But Phase 2 is, well, you can't afford to buy a new GPU that will run our new technology. Why don't you rent a GPU from one of our data centers? Like maybe subscribing to GeForce Now. Jensen has said a GPU shortage is great for Nvidia. That way they can keep the prices jacked up. It will maybe take a few years, but I believe it's coming sooner rather than later. I will speak more on this in a bit. Right now, let's look at Nvidia's damage control. After the backlash started building, Nvidia shifted the narrative. Jensen outright disrespected his gaming customers and lied to them.
Since DLSS 5 was revealed yesterday, there's been a pretty vocal response from some of the gaming community that the technology appears to make it worse, homogeneous, or show only Nvidia's view of how games should look. How do you feel about that criticism?
Well, first of all, they're completely wrong.
All the while giving that warm fuzzy that he cares. Isn't that precious? And what a crock of shit. Someone please duct tape his mouth. He just digs the hole deeper with every passing phrase. Some people just don't know when to shut up. Me included. They emphasize better performance, AI breakthroughs, and next-gen visuals. Developers have control. Jensen even saying, I hate AI slop too.
I think their perspective makes sense, and I could see where they're coming from, because I don't love AI slop myself.
If he hates AI slop too, then why does he keep promoting its creation? That's interesting. Shareholder anyone? But you notice what's really missing from Nvidia's damage control? There is no real conversation about AI artifacting and ghosting, loss of artistic intent, the long-term reliance on proprietary tech, and the GPU demands it will or won't create. Because those questions are dangerous. And, well, they don't sell GPUs for shareholders. Now back to you will own nothing. Obviously, even your frames. This is where it connects to something bigger. The idea that you don't fully own your experience anymore. Not your performance, not your visuals, and not even the final image on your screen. Because if AI is generating parts of your game in real time, then what are you actually playing? A game or a prediction of what the game should be? Where this is heading. Now don't get it twisted. DLSS 5 is impressive and interesting, but that's what makes it powerful, and also very dangerous. Because once the industry fully leans into this, optimization is already optional for a lazy developer. Now with DLSS 5, more so with slopification. The hardware also becomes mandatory, or you rent to use their GPUs. And AI has become the middleman between you and your game. The bottom line, This backlash, it's not resistance to progress. It's a warning that maybe, just maybe, we're trading control for convenience and lack of work ethic. And most people don't even realize it yet. And the ones that do don't want to rock the boat because Nvidia is king of the GPU market. AMD can't get out of their own way and don't care if they make any strides to the high end. And Intel, well, they just haven't captured enough market share to make a dent. If you're seeing this too, drop a comment and tell me your thoughts. I'll read all of them. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's get this conversation started. I have a feeling that this conversation will drag on for years. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more of my ranting and raving. But this is the Axeman. Until next time, I'm out of here.